I'd like to share a couple of thoughts with you as we reach the close of week 1 and move into week 2. So just as a quick reminder, the way I run my classes is that weeks start on Wednesday and run through the following Tuesday. So a little bit different, but I find that it works pretty well for a lot of folks to be able to have the middle and the heart of the week on the weekend. So that's why I do that. In any case, I am thrilled with this first week of class, and I don't say this lightly, and I don't say it just because it sounds like a nice thing to say. I really, really am thrilled with this class and all of you so far. First off, I really appreciate that all of you sent me your check-in emails and kind of shared your goals with the class and any questions or concerns that you may have had. There's quite a few people in here who don't have a great deal of teaching or training experience, but hope to move into doing more of that down the road. And we have people in this class who have a great deal of experience. No matter which of those groups you're in, or if you're somewhere in between, don't let that worry you. This is going to be, having all of those different groups really makes this a rich learning community. Everybody learns from each other when we're in these sort of situations. I will do my best as I facilitate our discussions and our activities and our readings and things like that throughout the semester to ensure that what we are doing and what we are learning is going to work for where you are, whether you're on the end of the spectrum of very little experience or a lot of experience. But please contact me if you feel like I can't do this. I don't have enough to be able to do what you're asking me to do. Or this is beyond where I am. I can always kind of adjust things for where you are, but I'll do my best to also do that. So hopefully that'll work out. And quite honestly, if you're somebody who's feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure that I should be doing this, or I'm ready for this, or I have the knowledge for this, let me say, from what I have read so far in this first week, you are. I am, again, nothing but impressed with what each of you have been sharing and digging into and understanding and helping each other with throughout this first week of class. It's really been fantastic. So if that gives you a little pat on the back, you're doing great. I'm thrilled with what I'm seeing and reading and hearing. One thing, of course, we worked on in this first week was that PALS inventory. And I think that most people came to this point in the discussion, and I tried to add in a few things as well. But remember, that is not meant to be an inventory that you say, oh, well, that tells me who I am. Rather, it's a way to help you think a little bit more deeply about things you may not have thought about before, whether you've taught or trained in the past or not. It really is meant to just kind of be a tool to encourage you to think and to reflect on things that you may not have done before. So that's all it is. It's a tool. It's imperfect, but hopefully it was something that allowed you to do that. To that end, it's a great tool to use, and I should say is something that you can use as a jumping off point for your weekly reflections, which you need to do every week. So maybe that's something that you'll write about in those weekly reflections. So just a little bit about this first week. Moving into our second week, there's kind of two main things that we're going to look at. These two main topics go along with what we're essentially doing in the first 3 or 4 weeks of class, which is the big idea behind that is let's explore what you think, who you are as an educator, not what your employer asks you to do, not what your topic asks you to do, but who you truly are right here as an educator, as a trainer, as an instructor. That is our focus of all of the content over these first few weeks of the class. So to that end, in the second week, we'll be doing two different things. We'll be looking at kind of the qualities of adult learners and the barriers of adult learners, and kind of just trying for you each to create your own basic idea of what is an adult learner. One of the ways that we'll do that is through exploring the concept of andragogy and comparing that to pedagogy, which is andragogy, the art and science of teaching adults, pedagogy, the art and science of teaching younger learners. So that's one thing that we'll use to explore that and understanding who you are as an educator. The second thing that we'll do is to look at what is kind of the balance of power in a learning situation when you're working with adults. It's very different from if I was teaching a bunch of 5-year-olds, the power differential is pretty different than me teaching all of you as adult graduate students. So that'll be the second thing that we'll look at this week. Again, just keep that broad umbrella in mind over these first several weeks, is we're not digging into exact teaching processes or exact teaching methods yet. We're helping you to understand who you truly are at your heart as an educator, as a facilitator, as a trainer. And that is something that is just who you are, no matter what you're doing, who you're working with, what job you happen to have. And it's kind of key to have that foundation to then move on to those more specific processes and methods, which we'll do as the semester progresses. So that is where we are. I'm excited, really, really excited to see what we do, what we learn in this second week of class. As always, let me know if you want to chat about anything.